Because well, for me, if it's like a roadblock. It's like a wall. I've got to get over. I'm going to get over. I already know that. But how? So then I figure out how to get over. And I will get through it. I will. Otherwise, you'll find me dead trying over here. But I will get over that wall. And that's the fear. If it's if it's on my path. If it's not on my path, it's trauma and I don't want to deal with it. But that's what it is. It's a wall, it's fear, and that's what it is. My favorite is, I work with dogs and cats, and I've never been bit, but I can get a huge adrenaline rush, like a surge of adrenaline. So I've watched these beautiful, strong dogs that look like wolves, and they're coming at me, and I just let them run right at me. And I'm like, but I know I'm not going to get bit, so it's really it's total fear, because if I make a mistake, I get bit or I die. So I let them come at me, and I stand there, and it's not about physical strength, it's about mental mind strength. And I just look at them and I say, back off. And so that's a fear.
How about something that you're really afraid of?
Something that I'm really afraid of?
Like vulnerability for you.
Friendship.
Yeah.
You want to dig deep?
I mean, today.
Yeah.
Good. There's fear. I want to know where the fear is.
There is.
Having dogs come attack you, that's your, it'd be fun.
Well, that's just an adrenaline thing, and it's like,
Right.
I mean,
That's not the
I
fear
know that I
factor.
can stop them without touching.
I'm talking about, you wanting to.
But as far as friendship goes, it's just in my mind.
Yeah.
And it's
And
just
with
an
them, it's a
obstacle.
dull.
What?
With them, it's a dull.
Well, he's working on, so he's working on some things in his life. Socialization, can I share that with them?
Sure, you can share it.
Making friends, and there's fear there. That's what I'm talking about, right? Right? Okay, good. That's a big deal.
Sure.
Right, awesome. Okay, who else? Did you ever hand up? No, you did. So.
Yeah, no, you had asked, like, what's people's fear with failure is they don't want to look back.
What about for you?
I don't want to look back. Marky Katie. I don't know. But I'm always fine.
But you will sell yourself out.
Oh, yeah, no. Mask. What do you want to do?
No more. Thank you. Maybe see it. All right, who else? Why is fear of failure such a big deal for you? Chris?
Fear of failure is like.
I'm not going to be honest. I got a big whip behind here. Not work like that.
Got it work?
Fear of failure for me is loss. It's like when you fail, if you don't have it in reserve to lose, there's loss. There's some sense of loss. Like it could be dignity, it could be money, it could be. But do you have it to spare?
Okay. All right, got it. Who else? One other person over here. Yes, Irma.
Disappointment.
Want to say a little bit more about that?
Disappointment, like, being a disappointment to someone, like, oh, I knew this was gonna happen already, you know.
How many of you experience being disappointed? Anna, do you experience being disappointed?
Do I experience being disappointed right now?
Not right now, but do you experience it?
I used to, not anymore.
You never experience disappointment?
I have had disappointment, yeah. But not now in the present time.
Okay.
I chose to eliminate that from my life.
Awesome. Okay. Now, I'm going to answer the question. You ready? Fear of failure is such a big deal because it's often emotionally charged. It's an emotionally charged and it's experientially charged. So we experience it in our body, like I said, right? And our body sensations. Some of you sweat. Some of you get fast heart rates. Some of you get stiff. Some of you like probably lose your presentness. I've seen people really get fear, afraid of speaking. I used to be really afraid of speaking. They'd say, the first time I had to come up in front of the room to be trained as a seminar leader, I made all the requirements. Like I measured, I did everything, all the conversations I was supposed to have, all the distinctions for like 2 years. There was finally that moment where they're like, it's your time. And I was like, oh God, please no. Please don't let me do this. And the center manager's in the back of the room, and she's sitting in the chair, and she goes, you know you're leading the session tonight. Were you there? Okay. So, and everybody knows, like the one major training that you know that you start at 7 o'clock. You don't start at 6:59, you don't start at 7:01, and she's sitting there and she goes, it's time. I was like, I don't know. She goes, okay, just let me know. So I was staying there, and then it was 7 o'clock, and I was standing in front of her. She goes, it's 7 o'clock. I said, I know. And then I just stood there. You guys, I was frozen. I was afraid of brick. I was like, I really had it. I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die. And I was like, and then she goes, you have to walk up now. And I looked back at her like this. And I don't know how I'm walking. And I'm walking and I'm walking, and everything's in slow motion. I see the graduates, you know, all the rows of people in their heads, you know, it's like slow motion. And then I walk to the front, and I see the flowers, you know, like up here, because in the other room over there. And then just slowly, like it was like blurred. I could see the 2 boards, they were chalkboards. They just were big blurs. I turned my head. I said, good evening! And I just stopped, I didn't know what else to do. She goes, say your name. I was like, I'm Linda Pill, you know, and then it just sort of the training kicked in. But, you know, it shows up in our bodies, right? And also in our thoughts. I'm going to die. I'm not going to make it through this. Are they going to attack me? They're going to judge me, right? And also we experience in our memories, our past. We also experience failure, fear in the image of ourselves. We also see fear in other people. We see it on television. So given that this seminar is about taking on things that are real in our life, this is a really important conversation for us to have. It's very appropriate at session 8, right? So, if you take this conversation on tonight, at the very minimum, you'll have access to dealing with it. How many of you guys want access to dealing with fear? Yeah, you guys want to have breakthroughs in your jobs and your careers and all the great things you're doing. I still read your participation forms. I read them all, went through all of them today at work, right? So we want to get up on the table. What's the impact of the fear of failure in your life? And I'm going to have a couple of you come up and share what's been the impact of the fear of failing in your life. And you know, I was working with my coach last week, and we were working on this distinction. And he started to look at, you know, Angela tells me that, you know, you're controlling. I was like, I'm not controlling. What are you talking about? And, like, can you please put your shoes there and do that? So we began to look at when did controlling start showing up as a way of being for me. And so when I was in 4th grade, you know, for a couple of years I was molested by a family member. And, you know, it was distinct. 3rd grade, 1st through 3rd grade, it was like this, and then 4th grade on, it was distinct. It was different, you know, after that. And we kept looking and looking and looking, going under the layers of like, what is the fear of failure? What's the failure? What's the failure you had? And I was like, well, I should have known. I should have stopped it. I should have said something to somebody. I should have known better. I was 10, but I should have known better, right? And I've carried that with me my whole life. And after that moment, that failure of not, should have known, then my environment became about what?
Protection.
Huh?
Finding out. Protecting. Yeah, being safe.
Being safe, yes.
Controlling your environment.
Yes.
Knowing everything.
Knowing everything, figuring it out, strategizing, controlling. From that moment on, I was like, whoa. So it was very awesome to get to go back and look at, that is where the failure was. And then now, look what, I'm an engineer for a living, And I'm strategic, analytical, I've got to know. So I just want to open this up, right? Well, let me just share this. The impact of being controlling, the impact of always having to know, the impact of I should have known or I should know, it really keeps me from taking action. Believe it or not. I'm at work and, something happens and I'm like, oh, I should have known. And then I go into a disempowering context and then I don't get in communication with my boss or I don't call a contractor because I should have known that pipe was going to leak. Right? Or if something happens with Angela, she says something, I'm like, oh, I should have known she was going to respond this way, or I should know. It's just, you can see the rule of survival, and there's no joy in that. Can you guys see yourselves in this? Yeah, right? So I have a couple of you come up and share, what's been the impact of the fear of failing? What's been the impact of the fear of failing in your life? So who wants to come up and share? Let's have two people. Except these two. No, okay. Let's have Jasmine come up and one other person. Who's not shared themselves? Group leaders, who? Okay, Katrina, yep. I'm just picking on you, Chris. A lot of love over that. So, Jasmine. What's been the impact of the fear of failing in your life?
I think the first things I think that's it's definitely an emotional grasp for sure. Like it's a sensation in the body. I feel like it takes away the brightness that you can envelop, the action you can take part of it. Sometimes it hits me with depression. Like I know that I'm not doing it, so then I just make stories and just chill out all day and live in that weird failure energy. Or I don't know. It feels like it's been a drawback. I feel like I'm currently working through that right now. Something's going on with my brain where I feel like I'm changing. I started noticing it a couple of days ago when I was talking to someone and I kept dropping my head and looking at their feet, and then my head would hurt, and I would lift my head up and talk to them, and then my head would feel okay. So then I'm okay. So I think that I do a lot of yoga, so I think that I'm supposed to be looking forward and not pretending or looking somewhere else. So, anyways.
So how does this impact your life? What's the cost? How's it impacting you? And you guys want to look for yourselves too, okay? This is not just for her. You guys want to be sitting in your chairs and getting the most out of this conversation. How does the fear of failure impact your life?
It's handicapped. It's living in a handicapped state of mind. It's not blossom and beam. That's how it feels like.
So if you were to, put handicap into a way of being, what would you say it was?
I don't know. It's overthinking a way of being, or.
So how does the fear of failure hinder you?
I mean, I keep going back to handicap. It doesn't. It feels like a drawback.
Yeah, look in some areas. You want to look in some areas of your life.
I think the first thing that comes up is that when I don't look at myself, like that's a fear of failure. If I'm like pretending or something in the world, or to someone, or to a group, or in a conversation, then a fear of, I don't know.
What's the fear of looking at yourself?
I think because the whole thing, like you can't shine too bright, or you can't be like exactly who you are. There's a lot of conditioning around my thoughts about that. Like, oh, you can't be too big, or too bright, or too relaxed, or so like so when there's so. Am I going somewhere with you?
Well, you know what this is so with love, you guys, and I just know with my interactions with you, Jasmine, is you let me straight. You have a difficult time looking at yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and there's nothing wrong with that, okay? When I did 2 years of Landmark, and then I remember just crying in my Introduction Leaders program, going, man, I really don't want to look at myself. I was crying on like ways of being. I gotta look at how irresponsible I was, and I made it mean something and all that. So there's like millions of people out there who don't have the courage to look at themselves, right? And you're here, and I know that's what you deal with just on our interactions. What's the impact of not looking at yourself? You just want to look.
It feels like sad.
Okay?
It feels sad, and it feels like, yeah, that's the first thing that comes up. And then, I guess I keep talking.
So that's a feeling, right? So there's an impact, a cost, like you don't look at yourself.
Like you play small.
What's that?
You play small in the world, or you're in, like you're playing smaller. I'm playing smaller than allowing myself to be fully present and blossomed, and yeah, I mean that's the first, those are words, sometimes I feel like they're limiting, and when you like embody something, it's more powerful.
Okay. You teach kind of spiritual stuff or something, right?
Well, yeah,
I can tell.
yeah.
You've got a different kind of language over there. But, so, you, just lost my thought. What did you just say?
Well, I answered your question by saying that I feel that I'm playing small.
Yes, that's it, yes. What's the impact of you playing small?
I think that it's,
And this is a question you guys want to ask yourself, too.
it hurts my soul, like it just, it
hurts
hurts.
the soul.
It
Hurts
hurts,
the
like,
soul.
yeah, it makes me frustrated. I can have like burst out in emotion towards someone, and then when I'm by myself, I'm like, that wasn't about them, like, but where is all this passion and anger coming from? And maybe it's related to not being fully alive and interacting, and the thing that we're talking about today, maybe.
Yeah, and here's what I want to offer you, too, is when you don't look at yourself, you don't allow people to contribute to you. There's an impact there, both on you and the other person. So where does that show up in your life?
And not being able to receive,
Yeah, where does that show up?
like in my jobs, or in my family relationships, or
Look, see where it shows up.
I think, I can't find it right now, but maybe in a couple of moments. I mean, in a lot of areas, in almost all my areas, I think I would say that they intertwine. Like, if I feel like there's one thing that's balanced, like my yoga group, my family will show up and then make my other group be like, well, that's not complete if this group is not complete, because I should be able to feel the same in all my elements, in all my expressions of life, my job, my family.
Okay. So I met you several months ago, and I was reviewing the advanced course, and she was in the advanced course. Can I share this stuff? And I'll be really honest. The best training I got as a seminar leader was with you. Can I share with them?
Yes.
So we came back from the advanced course, for those of you who took it, and you work as a group in the advanced course. You're pretty much accountable for each other. And then all the groups are accountable for the entire course. So everybody comes back on time, leadership is created, there's possibilities created in the world, it's extraordinary. And in my group, it was like, where is Jasmine? And, I was like, okay, I'm the seminar leader, I've taken the course before, this is a review for me, I'm not gonna really get involved. Which is inauthentic, because I'm here to serve, right? Then after a couple of times, I'm like, where's Jasmine? And you
were pissed.
we were coming back from the break, where everybody's coming back on time, and when you come back, you're accounted for. Okay, this group's here, 4 there, is anybody missing over there? We've got one person missing over here, one person in our group's missing. And I look over, and Miss Jasmine is sitting on the floor between the 2 tables, eating salad, stuffing her face. And I'm like, and I was like, God, audacity. I've never seen anybody do that before. So you're over there and you're like, no, I'm gonna eat my salad. I'm like, we just had 30 minutes or an hour or whatever it was. We gotta go. Oh, we gotta go. And you're like, no, I'm gonna eat my salad. And it went on for a little bit, and then I said something.
Yeah. Well, I think it was like also the morning that I was always late in the morning. Like to get there at 9, I would be late after that, and then you were like enough. Like you were like enough of that, like on the number 4 or something.
Yeah, it was not a nice enough though. It was like, get the F up off your A and get over there. I did say that. And I've never said that before, and I was like, oh my God, I'm in trouble. I thought, oh, see. And you know what? You actually did. I was stunned. I'm like, whoa. And so, what am I trying to say here? Is you don't, I'm gonna answer your question for you. You don't want people to contribute to you. Or you like to break rules. You get that?
Well, I stand for things.
So, you get what I said?
I mean, people, I know. I really, yeah, that makes sense to me. It's like, no, I'll do it for you, but you don't have to do it for me. Like, yeah, and that's not an energy exchange.
So what's the fear there?
There's a belief system that if I give anything, people always have to give back to me. It's like a Latin family thing, maybe perhaps, or maybe many family things, but my family raised me like that. So it's like sometimes you just want to give somebody something, but it's like, okay, don't give me back, because then it's always like they feel that they have to give you back. And so that's where that started, I think.
I don't understand. What's the fear?
Fear of reciprocation.
Oh, okay. Okay.
What is that word?
That's, if I give you something, then that person owes you something.
Yeah, there we
It's an obligation to give back.
Indebted.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what's the impact of that on you? Being that way, living that way.
It doesn't flow. Like I should feel joyous.
Listen, I don't know about it doesn't flow.
Well,
I don't know that stuff. What's the impact?
The impact, be specific. Okay, so the impact is that there's not two people, it takes two, it's not just like one person.
You said, I don't, it was right there.
Oh, it's just, I don't get to feel like the connection.
Ah! There you have it. You know what? It's in all areas of your life. It's pervasive. Nothing's wrong. But the beauty of our work is to get to the source, to get to the source of that. And I know who you are. That's why I'm so happy we got to work together right now. And you got there. So you want to work with you, Chris, your group leader? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. So we're gonna have this assignment, this week. And you're gonna have an opportunity to dig further in there. Okay. So great job. So what's the impact of the fear of failing in your life?
Playing small, the impact is, I realized that, maybe I'm like an imposter. At least that's what I feel like. So in my work, I feel like I can contribute much more. And because I'm with attorneys and I'm a social worker, I don't think my words are as valued, so I will kind of use their methodology of communicating through questioning, right? To get them to buy what I'm saying so that they own it. And so I don't get to own my thoughts.
What's
or
it
what I
like?
want to put out there.
Yeah, what's it like for you?
Well, it makes me angry at myself, one. Number two, I know it excludes me from opportunities within the industry for not necessarily promotion in my office, but promotion in the field. We do very specialized type of work with, sick people, ill people in criminal justice, right? And we work with attorneys to help build defenses and juries. And so, it causes me not to really own that I really feel like I owe a lot to the world and taking on the responsibility of what that's gonna look like. I'm not trying to be a martyr, right? Like, I have my children, I want to live, I want to be happy, and for the most part, my children are amazing, they're doing amazing things. I have a special needs daughter, she's doing amazing things. Looking from the outside, most people will say, well, you know what, she's prepared well, she's gonna retire well, she's good, she's happy. But for my community, for the African American community, I know a lot. And I don't know if I'm willing to kind of take on the darts and the criticism that will come with what I want to manifest for my community.
Oh my God, how awesome is that?
Yeah.
How many of you deal with that?
Yeah. That's awesome.
You guys, are you zombies over there? I know every one of you deals with that.
Yes.
So, I got an acceptance
Yeah.
twice to law school.
You got it.
I gotta speed it up.
Yeah.
Okay.
30 seconds.
Okay. And I didn't do it. It's been 4 years.
And what's been the impact on you?
Like, I'm mad. Like, I gotta do it. Right? Like, it's something I say I know I must do.
So can you
So
choose that
yes.
you haven't done it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You see the impact as well, right?
Right.
Okay.
So that's it.
Great.
Impossible.
What we're gonna do is we're gonna get to the source of the fear of failing. All right, thank you. Awesome. Great, so whether you're dealing with, living a transformed life or raising children or any of the games that you play in life, with your clients, your businesses, all of us deal with fear of failure, as I said. So the first thing that you want to get, you guys got to get this, is that you'll never resolve the fear of failing no matter how hard you work at it. You will never resolve the fear of failing, no matter how hard you work at it. Working hard to resolve your fear of failure is what keeps that fear in place. So then rather than trying to overcome your fear, we try to do that, right? We're going to bring the distinction to the phenomenon of fear of failure. It's a new distinction, fear of failure. So if you're going to engage in this conversation, I really invite you to engage in this conversation. You're going to create a powerful access to really getting to the games of your life, getting yourself to the games that you're playing. And how many of you can see that would make a difference for you? Good. So for the purposes of this conversation, we're going to create some categories of fear. Are you ready? Well, first, why do we do that? Why do we create the categories of fear?
Some fears are real and some are imagined.
You need to know what level to place it.
Guys, you gotta stand up.
Fear has intensity. It can be fear of life, and maybe you need to run, and there's other fears that are in your head that are not real.
Okay, great.
Some fears they need to be categorized because some fears may not be fears. They could be disguised as excitement at the same time. So categorizing them gives you, is this really fear or is this, am I really excited?
Okay. Anyone else? Just on?
When I hear category of fear, I think of it's all of it is fear, but it's the stages within that process of fear. So it's no difference. It's fear.
I
Period.
love these answers, you guys. I do. You're participating, you're looking. So why we're creating categories of fear is we're doing this to empower you. Okay? So the first category to get is we're going to be calling it authentic fear. I think someone said that earlier. Was it you? Yeah. So who is an example of authentic fear that hasn't raised their hand yet?
Earthquake, your home is shaking and falling down. Imagine you are in the Twin Tower with the airplane crashing. That's fear. You
That's
jump
authentic
from
fear.
the window.
Right, yeah, airplane coming to you in the World Trade Centers. It's another example of authentic fear.
Freddy Krueger coming out.
Yeah, we're kids.
Or Jaws, right? What's some other authentic fears?
Car accident.
Yeah, or maybe a train coming your way. You're on the